Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Robbie Falk here. Talking Dogs is live on YouTube, and I appreciate you guys for checking in and supporting this show as you do. We are getting ramped back up. We're going to be doing this every single week, God willing, and I'm excited. I'm excited for a new season. I'm excited for conversation. I don't know I don't know where this is going to go as far as the conversation is concerned. Last year was not great, but we were still here every week talking about it, and it's going to be exciting one way or the other. So football season is here. Week zero's already happened, and some really great ball games in the first week of the season. I don't know why it's called week zero, but because it's actually a week of football. But it was a great weekend of football. I was actually really surprised because a lot of those early season games on the week zero are not that exciting at all. So for that to be as good as it was really gets me ready for the season. I know a lot of people don't like the NIL and the transfer portal stuff. I think that's only going to make college football better, in my opinion, as far as maybe not, for the diehard fan that likes it to be, the love of the game and all that stuff. But as far as the competition on the field, I think it's only going to make it better. It's starting to even things out a little bit. Actually, if you look at it, all the top talent's not going to the same 4 or 5 schools anymore. You're seeing top end talent go across the country. So I think you're going to see a lot of some fun football and some fun games over the next few years, and hopefully Mississippi State is part of it. A lot to talk about today. Jeff Lebby's first press conference of a game week as Mississippi State's coach. Of course, we've talked to him several times, but this is the first time that we've talked to him previewing a game, and it was nice to hear from him. Fairly quick press conferences, one of his longer ones actually, but for us, as far as a game week is concerned, it was a fairly quick press conference, but I thought he got his points in. He even talked to us about injuries, and of course, you guys know about that, and we'll talk about it with the injuries that Mississippi State has. The guys are going to be out this week, but it was kind of to the point for Jeff Lebby. He's really excited for game one. He's really excited to get out there and do it for the first time as a head coach, and Mississippi State is where he's doing it, and a guy that's been very grateful for this opportunity, for the job he has at Mississippi State to be in this position. So it's kind of cool to see this. It's always cool to see a guy get this shot. But if you're a Mississippi State fan, I mean, you want it to be a guy that's winning. I mean, you're not going to feel sorry for the guy if he starts losing his first job. So this is a big opportunity for Jeff Lebby, and I'm really intrigued to see where this goes for him this year with this offense. Brand new faces across the board, not a single starter returns and on offense. And then you have basically one starter returning on the defensive side. So ton of new faces. The models across the board do not like Mississippi State. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that. If you look at the models across the board, the predictions that are being made, the wins and losses and all that stuff, you talk about the Vegas win-loss total, they're not going to like Mississippi State because they're looking at the guys that are returning, and they're not really taking into account the fact that Mississippi State could have upgraded at a position. Mississippi State has a significantly tougher offense that they're running this year. So the models don't like State, but this has a chance to be a team that I think is a lot better than most people outside of Mississippi State believe. It's really hard for me to imagine them being worse than last year, but I could be wrong there. So, we'll see how that goes. As far as, news is concerned from Mississippi State on Monday, the big news was we saw it mere minutes before the press conference began when the depth chart came out. We started looking at it. We knew that Corey Ellington wasn't going to play week one. We talked about that, I think, last week on here, and we've reported on Maroon and White Daily that he was injured, and it was going to be, an injury that was for – I don't know if significant is the right word, but he's going to be out for several games. That was not a surprise to us. And we also reported last week Kelly Akari's been banged up and dealing with an injury. But as far as where he is and where, his progress is and his injury, we don't know how long he's going to be out. I don't believe it to be serious. And I kind of think, based on what I've heard, that this could be precautionary that he's out this week. But I don't know how much longer this is going to linger. This is one of those injuries you have to be very careful with, and you don't want to aggravate it further. So this could be a precautionary thing like we saw with Tula Griffin last year, or it could linger for a few games. I'm of the opinion that it won't. I'm of the opinion that this is going to be the only week that he's out. We'll see how that goes this week. But he is not playing this week, and not a huge concern when you look at the depth chart at wide receiver. Corey Ellington does give you a hit back there in the secondary. That's a position that you need to have depth. And Mississippi State doesn't have a lot of depth. They definitely don't have a lot of experience. And this is a 4-year player for Mississippi State. This is a guy that was playing as a true freshman. You can't afford to have him out for a very long period of time. So that one stings. That one really hurts you in the back end. You got to hope that he can get back here relatively soon. I don't anticipate that being in the first 4 games or so. I think this is going to be a mid-season type thing if he comes back. I do expect him back unless they decide that they want to redshirt him, but I don't know if that's going to be possible with your issues in the defensive backfield. So tough hit there. And then the really unexpected news that we got, that piece of news with those 2 players, that wasn't very surprising. It was surprising that Mississippi State announced in the press conference from Jeff Lebby that the senior running back Jeffrey Pittman was no longer with the team. And it was kind of strange how Lebby phrased it. He said he's no longer with the team, and then he said right now. And talking to people immediately following that press conference, this is not a permanent fixture. This is not something that is set in stone at this point. He's not with the team right now. That is true. There is a possibility that he can return, which leads me to believe that it could be discipline related. I don't think that they just let him leave the team and they're just saying come back whenever you want to. I think that could be a thing, and I'm speaking totally on speculation, which I shouldn't do, but that's just kind of what I've gathered. It could be that. But we have not gotten any word, one way or the other, on his status as it pertains to the rest of the season. But he will not be on this roster when the game starts on Saturday, which begs the question now about Mississippi State's depth at running back, and it's kind of like at receiver. Why you don't have a ton of proven running backs there, and I say that very loosely with the running backs because Devon Booth has done it, and Kevon Lee has done it on this level. But at Mississippi State, they have not done it at a very high level, at least not Kevon Lee, who was here last year. And then Johnny Daniels is coming from JUCO, but you do have 3 really good options, and all 3 of those guys have done some really good things in camp to this point. So that's kind of what I'm looking for this week is how they handle the 3 backs and their workload. And also, Lebby said they're going to play Xavier Gayton this week, the true freshman who actually we had rated the highest player in Mississippi State's class. 4-star from Brookhaven, was a heck of an athlete, an incredible year last year for Brookhaven, and he is going to get some playing time this week. Whether or not that's going to be every game, I don't know, but I think this is definitely a good idea to get him some playing time in this ball game and let him get his feet wet. And if he handles it well, and if he continues to move up the depth chart, then you got a freshman that you're ready to move up to second string or competing for a starting job next year when you have a couple of guys move off the roster. So running back, with or without Jeffrey Pittman right now, with no injuries or whatever, is in good shape. And we'll obviously see how that works out. I mean, you can't have another one go down. You start getting down to 3 guys, it gets a little scary, and one of those is a freshman. So, all right, guys. So get your questions in. Let you guys get a few questions in. We do already have some. I appreciate it. I love you, Kobe, because you are always the first guy to ask a question. You're on top of it, my guy. Kobe, and if you don't know Kobe, go check out his YouTube channel too. Great kid. I appreciate you, man, for always supporting. So we'll start questions. Kobe, excited that football's back. What do you think about this team heading into week one? There's a lot of questions, obviously. There is a entirely new defense. I mean, you basically have one guy returning that started, and that was DeMonte Russell. And Corey Ellington was going to be at least in the two deep, and he was the other guy that started. The rest of these guys, and I guess Bryce Pollock, I keep forgetting him, but I guess he would be the guy that would have also started. He started a good bit last year, especially late in the season, and he was actually listed first team at cornerback today, which I've been hoping that would be the case. He hasn't been mentioned a whole lot in the fall, and after getting in the game last year and kind of getting some playing time, you really needed him to step up this year and be kind of an unquestioned guy at corner, a lot like you've seen with Isaac Smith. Isaac Smith has stepped right in this year, and you wanted that to happen last year, but a true freshman, that's kind of tough. Since the spring and kind of starting into the fall camp, there's been no question that Isaac Smith is going to either be, first team or getting a ton of reps. And that's what you want out of your guys, progressing like that. And so Bryce Pollock, good to see him at cornerback. And then we might see Kelly Jones. I mean, there's a good chance you have two starting cornerbacks that are either a redshirt freshman or sophomore, two guys that have been here for just a couple of years. So it's going to be a really, really young defensive backfield. But I like the safeties back there. I think they have some potential there. I really like the linebackers. The defensive line, I just don't know. So defense is obviously my biggest question mark, and I think that's everybody's. I think the offense is going to be okay. I think it might not be hitting on all cylinders this year for Jeff Lebby. If you're expecting top 10, like he has been at most of his stops, if you're expecting even top 20 right now, maybe that will be a stretch. I don't know if we can predict that just yet. But can it be a top 30 offense? Can they run this thing very similar to what Jeff Lebby wants? That's kind of what you're looking for. Just see that slow progression upward would be nice. Something that you can prove to the recruits of Mississippi and elsewhere, to the Caleb Cunninghams of the world. Something that you can tangibly show them that Mississippi State's moving in the right direction. We have an exciting offense, and this is going to be a good journey. That's what you got to do this year. We've talked over and over again about the fact that Mississippi State this year can't be so much focused on the wins and losses. Although Jeff Lebby even said at his press conference today that the expectation is a bowl game. They want to get to a bowl game. He's got reasonable expectations. He knows this isn't a playoff team in year one, but they need to get to a bowl game. And to do that, you got to come out on Saturday and you got to attack Eastern Kentucky and dominate. And we'll see if they're able to do that. Zachary covered that, but I know you dropped that question in before I even brought it up. And if you guys missed any of that opening monologue I went on for the first 10 minutes or whatever, you can check it out. After we get finished, this will be published in full. Nick Graham, were you surprised to see Devon Booth not starting? Well, the thing about it is he put Kevon Lee or Devon Booth. So I don't know, who trots out there game one. I wasn't super surprised by it. If you listen to our podcast Thunder and Lightning, we did our all 22 rankings where we ranked the players that we feel the most confident in. And my number 22 was Kevon Lee. And it wasn't that I don't feel confident in Kevon Lee. It's that I did not know who would be the starting running back. I didn't feel confident in naming him the starter. I predicted him the starter, but I didn't feel totally confident in it because we've heard good things about him. We've heard good things about Jeffrey Pittman, who is apparently no longer with the team. Johnny Daniels, Davon Booth, all four of those guys have done really good things in camp. So I don't think, it really matters who they start on Saturday. I think we're going to see a lot of Kevon Lee. I think we're going to see a lot of Johnny Daniels and a lot of Davon Booth. And they're going to rotate them out. If you look at some of the offenses that he's had, that's been the case. You've had different running backs, kind of change of pace guys, which I believe Davon Booth kind of is. Johnny Daniels is kind of one of the more complete backs as far as if I'm looking at a guy that's kind of your all-purpose, he can break off a big play, but he can also, move the chains on 3rd and 1. That I think that is, to me, what Johnny Daniels does. Davon Booth is probably your biggest home run hitter. Kevon Lee is probably the better one in between the tackles of all three. So you got a little something from all of them that you can bring into this week's game. I'm very intrigued to see what that running back crew looks like. And if you're able to rotate those guys in and out and you don't really lose much of a beat, then you got something going there. But you got to keep those guys healthy. Cameron Cotton, have you heard anything behind the scenes on Kelly A's injury? Yeah, I won't go into specifics of it. Just based on what I've heard from some sources, I'll keep that. But it's not something that is serious like a tear or a break or anything like that. I'll just say that it's one of those injuries that everybody knows about that has a tendency to linger a little bit. And he's been dealing with it now for about 2 or 3 weeks. He's stayed off of it. He's rehabbed well. I continue to believe that he will be back very soon, as early as next week. I think that's a possibility. I'm not ready to go 100% on that and say that's going to happen, but I do think that that's a very high possibility. And it all depends on how he rehabs this week and how it feels. But, it's, again, not anything serious based on what I've been told. And he's they're just being very cautious with that, just like they have with Travion Williams. Corbin Dallas, rest in peace, Psycho Sid. I hated to hear that about Psycho Sid. Just a guy that looked like $1 million. Scary character. Just a great character in wrestling. I hated to see that. An Arkansas man. Lewis T, is it a Murph type situation, you think? I guess you're talking about Jeffrey Pittman. I don't think so. But I don't know with 100% certainty what it is. We're still kind of trying to dig on that. Zachary Tucker, what happened to Wally? Still on the team. I mean, he's been banged up. Guys, they've kind of recruited over him in some cases. Guys have moved ahead of him. The injury bug has really hurt his career, and I hate it because he's such a great kid. He had such a great season in 2020, and just haven't been able to see that replicated. And it sucks. It does. I hope that he can get in there this year and finish strong because he's been the ultimate teammate. Never complained. Never tried to enter the transfer portal. Never whined. He has come to practice when he's been healthy, done everything that's asked of him. And when he's had a chance, he's been really good. But he's just, I think injuries have just really done a number on him. And hopefully, like I said, he can come in and have a really good season this year. Owen Hines, what's the word on Antonio Harmon and J.J. Harrell? Didn't see them on the roster. Well, I believe they're on the roster. Let me check. But unless they've changed the roster here recently, they should be on the roster. Let's see here. Yeah, JJ's on the roster. And see if I can scroll down here to Antonio Harmon. Antonio Harmon's on the roster. Maybe you mean depth chart? A lot of people have asked that today on both guys. There's so many receivers, and you only have 3 at each position. So you have three positions and you have three guys listed on there. There's just a lot of guys ahead of them. JJ Harrell's not quite ready. True freshman, and he's just not ready yet. He dealt with an injury in the spring, so that kind of set him back. Stonka Burnside and Mario Craver are clearly the top two guys at wideout, but like JJ Harrell, San Francisco McGee, Ricky Johnson, those guys have a really bright future. Not quite, on the 2 or 3 deep just yet. And Harmon's kind of the same way. They're just kind of fighting. There's just a lot of guys there, which you need a lot of guys because injuries take their toll. We're seeing it with Kelly Akari right now. You need some guys. All right. What do we have next? Row with JJ Redshirt. I think that's a possibility just with like I said, like we were just talking about, the guys ahead of him. There's just no reason to push him right now. Got a bright future. I saw him the other day, really physical kid, and really heady too. I mean, the people that I talk to that spend a lot of time with him behind the scenes, they talk about just how deep of a kid he is, just mentally, and he's dealt with a lot of stuff during his life. But I mean, just a really tough kid. So the best is yet to come with him. Gan Cakes, what player on offense and what player on defense do you think could emerge as unexpected stars this season that many currently have flying under the radar? On offense, I always talk about Jordan Mosley, and I feel like I've been talking about him for 3 years. And we've talked so much about Kelly Akari and Kevin Coleman and, Mario Craver, Stonka Burnside, but he could have a really good year this year, Jordan Mosley. And I still don't think people are talking enough about Seydou Traore. I think he's going to explode in this offense, and he's going to be a key piece from Mississippi State's running game, blocking. So that's a possibility. On the defensive side, an unexpected star. I don't know if Kelly Jones is unexpected or not, but he's a guy that I think is going to have a breakout season too. He's going to take his lumps. There's going to be some times where he gives up a big pass play or something, but that's a guy that I could see having a Jonathan Banks impact at some point at Mississippi State. Just a guy that can take the ball away. He's so long and rangy, fast, one of the fastest guys on the team. He's just too athletic not to do some big things. He looks like an NFL guy to me. And that's big, that's big praise for a guy that hadn't done anything, and he redshirted last year. But I think the potential is there for him. He's just getting started. Lewis T, is Stone getting the green dot, or J. Lou, John Lewis on defense? According to a remark that Jeff Lebby said today, it looks like it's going to be Stone Blanton on defense and Blake shaping offense. With Blake is not a surprise, and really Stone getting it's not a surprise. You usually think about the linebacker in the middle of the defense being the guy. One of the things we talked about today, Brian and myself on the show, was what do they do when Stone comes out of the ball game, or if Shapin has to come out of the game for a play? I mean, what do they do? I guess they just signal in the plays, which I guess isn't that big of a deal. But you have one designated guy with the equipment, and all your helmets are pretty much fit for you. So I don't know. I don't know what they do there. Game Cake says hopeful for this year for us is a little like Hugh Freeze's first year at Ole Miss. They clicked more as the year went on and improved every week, ended 6-6 with a ton of optimism. Yeah, or the one that we always talk about is Dan Mullen. Dan Mullen in year one played one of the toughest schedules in the country. You played 2 number 1 teams in Florida and Alabama. You played ranked non-conference teams in Georgia Tech and Houston. You were in the game against a lot of teams that I thought they didn't get destroyed by LSU, which was the case like every year. So they were kind of this stuck around in that one. Then you beat an Ole Miss team that was top 5 at one point, and that is kind of what I'm looking at this year. Can Mississippi State do what Dan Mullen did in year 1? And if that's getting to 6 wins and you have an even better season than that, then even better. But if you're 5-7 and you look like Dan Mullen's team did in year 1, I don't think there's going to be a lot of people that are upset. I mean, if people have sense about them. And then, like you say down there about his second year, 2010, that year was a breakthrough season for Mississippi State. They won 9 games and they beat Michigan, and they could have won 10 had they beaten Arkansas or Auburn or both and win 11. I mean, they were right on the cusp of one of the greatest seasons in Mississippi State history in year 2. And that team was even better than what the record said, because, like I said, they were in games against, you had the Auburn game, like I said, that was very close with Cam Newton. You had the overtime loss to Arkansas where you fumbled the ball out of the end zone with a chance to go up in that ball game. Very easily could have won 10 games that year. So that's kind of what you're looking at. If you can make that kind of jump in year 2 with Jeff Lebby, then you got the right guy. That's kind of what you have to look at here. Can Mississippi State show some major improvement this year, even if it means going 5-7? And then next year be a team that is a dark horse type caliber team. You get in the portal, you go get some guys that are really exciting. You finish off the high school recruiting class nicely. That's kind of that would be great. That would be great for Mississippi State. J-Dog 21, any word on the Montre Miller injury? I haven't heard much about him at all. Like, even whenever he was healthy, like, I just did not hear much about him. I don't know what's going on there, but he just hasn't been a guy that's picked up a lot of steam since he's been here. Zachary Corbo, what type of season do you think Shapen has? I think it's going to be a solid year. It all depends on whether or not he's healthy. If he's healthy, I really think that it's going to be a season that surprises a lot of people because nobody's talking about this guy. And this is a guy that's done it. He did it in the Big 12. And when he was healthy, he was good. And that was in a more pro-style offense. This is going to be an offense that lets him let loose a little more. And I think it's going to be used a little better as far as building around his skill set. I just don't think anybody's talking about this guy, and he has a chance to be pretty good this year, and needs to be. Mississippi State needs him to be good to show something to these kids out here that are waiting for Mississippi State. A lot of the reasons why you haven't seen Mississippi State pick up a whole lot of momentum in recruiting lately is because a lot of kids are just waiting and seeing what happens with them here. They want to see what this looks like. So, that's the main thing is, like, you got to have this guy show up for you. I miss JB up here. Where'd you get that shirt? This shirt is a Neshoba County Fair special. It was only sold at the Neshoba County Fair when Hardy came to NCF in 2021, which was the largest crowd I've ever seen at the fair. That was just an insane concert. I'm really looking forward to Hardy in just a few weeks at Dudy Noble Field. It's going to be a great environment, great crowd. I got my tickets the day they came out. If you don't have your tickets to that, even if you just are just casual, if you have the means to do it, please go do it. Please show up for that, because this is something that, these concerts are something I've been harping on for years, because my parents always talked about the great concerts they saw in the Hump. I've seen maybe 3 or 4 concerts inside the Hump, and they just don't happen anymore. Mississippi State just doesn't get great acts to campus. And you have a guy here that is a Mississippi State fan that is one of the hottest songwriters in the world right now, in Hardy, from right down the road in Philadelphia, Mississippi. We need to support him, and everybody needs to support whatever comes to Starkville in the form of concerts, because that's what you're trying to get done here. You're trying to get more and more of these kind of things happening in Starkville and happening at Mississippi State like they are elsewhere. There's no reason why Mississippi State can't host big acts at Duty Noble, at the Hump, at the amphitheater, and maybe one day inside of Davis Wade. There's no reason why Starkville can't host that, and that's great for your university. It's great for, a lot of this is like NIL related. It's great for your athletics. It's great for the city of Starkville. It's only going to make everything better. So if you can come, please go to it. And if you can make it to the Junction on Friday night, please go see Ernest, who's a friend of Hardy, songwriter as well. They've both written multiple and many number one songs in country music. Ernest has done a lot of stuff with Post Malone and Morgan Wallen. He's had his own stuff. So go check that out. It's going to be really cool. Cowbell Yell on Friday night in the Junction. I think everything kind of starts going about 5:30. Going to be really cool. So go check it out. Bega Man, any women's basketball news? Yeah, I was actually at camp the other day, an elite camp for Mississippi State, Sam Purcell and company hosting some of the top underclassmen in the country. A lot of big-time recruits there. I've actually got a report on that on our site. And by the way, if you don't know, we have a great deal, 50% off of an annual subscription at On3, Maroon and White Daily. Go sign up right now. Use the promo code KICKOFF24, and you can get 50% off. That's $4.99. So it's, you got to do it. You got to do it. And you can read that today. Yeah, I had about 1,500 words on it. Sorry, my computer's dying, so I have to text my wife to bring me a power cord for that. So I apologize for that. But yeah, go check that out. Like I said, a lot of news in there. And it's not just the recruiting stuff. I got some team news information in there, some stuff on Victoria Vivian's, Medina Okot, who's coming from overseas from Kenya. I got some news on her in there. So go check it out. And if you're not into that, we got daily dog biscuits from Paul Jones on MSU recruiting team news in there. We got the message board, which is great. Recruiting news every day, analysis, stuff like that. I mean, you guys have got to come check us out. Love to have you. $4.99 a month. I mean, that's less than what you can get at McDonald's at this point, which is crazy. And one of the reasons why I don't go to McDonald's anymore. Used to, you could scrounge some change in your car and get a double cheeseburger meal with a large Coke. But I digress. All right, any more questions? There we go. Hey, thank you. Not that. I need the computer charger.
Where's the computer charger?
It's in the basket downstairs. Tell Mom I need the computer charger. Special appearance there by my daughter, Natty. She brought me a phone charger. That's not what I needed. Any more questions? Any more comments? Gang Cakes, what do you think we'll be talking about on Monday? I hope we're talking about how explosive Mississippi State's offense was. How did Jeff Lebby think the defense executed in a shutout? I mean, that would be nice. This team needs that. I cannot state enough just how badly this team needs to have a dominant performance in this game where you're showing some exciting offense. The defense is getting takeaways, sacks, big plays on that side of the ball, something that's going to excite this fan base now moving forward. And then you go to Arizona State next week. You have a good game there. Hopefully that is that's what we're talking about, and hopefully not injuries or how the team struggled in the game or whatever. Thank you. Can you plug that up for me? Thank you. Game Cakes, do you think that there's anything new pregame with the new coaching staff? I don't know. I haven't heard of anything. You know, they got the DJ Cujo, who's outstanding. I thought he totally changed the atmosphere at the Hump last year. That's going to be a welcome addition to the football game, and I think just having that kind of guy running the music, that's going to be awesome. And I'm really interested to see the setup they have for him. And he is so pumped. Great guy, and you can tell that dude just loves his job. And anytime you find somebody that loves what they're doing, it's inspiring. So I'm excited to see him be a part of the game day atmosphere. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see some of the things that they do, some of the things Lebby implements, because I've talked about this before, but it looks like he's a guy that really has had a plan at being a head coach. He knows exactly what he wants to do with his program. Very rarely have I sat here and thought, does this guy know what he's doing? Like I don't think I've thought that once about him. He's had a plan, he's executed it so far. So yeah, that'll be kind of cool to see what he does, because Dan Mullen was really involved in the marketing side of things, stuff in the game day atmosphere. He had a lot of ideas, things like that. I'm interested to see if Jeff Lebby has some ideas like that. But I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter. I mean, you'd much rather him just go out there and win the game. But Zachary, which team in the SEC will have a disappointing season? I'm going with Florida there, because their fan base, I mean, they seem to be expecting a big year. I mean, I've talked to several Florida people, and they're just going ahead and jumped to the conclusion that this Florida team is going to have things figured out. And I don't know if that's going to be possible looking at that schedule. I mean, that's kind of the thing, is like, Napier has had a chance to improve things, and I think he's definitely gotten better players, and the production on offense hadn't been terrible. Graham Mertz was good last year, but the schedule the last two seasons has been so difficult. It's tough for him to get off the ground, and they were bad late last season. I think that's going to happen this year, and I think the wheels are going to fall off. So that's my pick. Zachary Corbo, do you think there's a game on the schedule that State should not win but finds a way? My pick for that was Texas A&M, because you've had some success against them, a lot of success against them at home, and that's my pick. Trying to think of another one. Missouri, maybe. Maybe I'm biased against Missouri. Maybe I'm still not ready to say that they're going to be really good in the SEC, because they had mediocre seasons, and then last year they were really good. So was that a fluke, or is that just the start of something? I actually think it's the start of something, but I still think that is a game that's not out of the way for Mississippi State. You're playing at home. I don't think that there's not a massive talent differential. I mean, obviously you have Luther Burden, and you have a really good quarterback. I get that the offense was good last year, but I don't think the talent gap is very large to the point where Mississippi State's not capable of winning that game. I'm not predicting it, but that would be another one of those games. Cakes 100%. Lebby had a staple pack in his shoebox that he picked up and blew the dust off and said, "This is it," when he got the head coaching gig. Yeah, I mean, and this is a guy that his father-in-law was a coach on this level, and a successful one outside of the off the field stuff. His dad's a coach. He's been around football his whole life. He's seen coaches run their programs, and he's been around some good ones as an assistant the last few years. I mean, Josh Heupel. You're talking about two really good program guys, and Josh Heupel and Lane Kiffin, guys that know how to run a program. And it wasn't without trial and error for, Lane Kiffin. But, I think Lane Kiffin pulled something from Nick Saban. A lot of the ways he does things is Nick Saban-esque. Josh Heupel pulled a lot of what he did from Bob Stoops and a little bit from Mike Leach. And you got now with Jeff Lebby, he's had Art Briles, he's had Josh Heupel, Lane Kiffin, Brent Venables, we'll see. But he's certainly been around some good ones. All right, guys. We're going to cut it there. It's been a good one. Really enjoyed the talk, and we're back. We're back, baby. Full blown, back in action on Talkin Dawgs. If you missed any of this, the playback's going to be available in full on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. Once again, please subscribe to this channel. I know most of you on this chat do, but if you're a casual, I would love for you to subscribe to this channel. We have updates every time a video is posted coming straight to you, and you won't miss a single video that we do, whether it be this or instant reactions or interviews of players and coaches. All that stuff is right there, Maroon and White Daily YouTube channel. And again, come check us out, Maroon and White Daily, Paul Jones and myself. We got a 50% off deal, best deal we've had since we've been here, $5 a month for a year. You need to take advantage because this deal is not going to be around very often. It's actually going through Wednesday, and we're right back to the normal payment method. So come check us out now. This is a perfect time to do it. Might have some good news in recruiting this week. Teaser. And obviously, Paul Jones keeps everybody updated on that front. The best basketball coverage on the MSU beat from the men's and the women's. We cover baseball. We cover football. We cover whatever else we can get to, and we have the best message board in the business. So come check us out today. We would love to have you, and I promise you're not going to be disappointed. 50% off, promo code kickoff24. Come do it. All right, guys, appreciate you. If you see me around, walking around the stadium on Saturday, please don't hesitate to say hello. Tell me what you think of me, bad or good. I don't care. Would love to see you. Would love to meet you. And enjoy the rest of your week. Appreciate y'all for supporting this YouTube channel, for supporting us on Twitter, wherever, on Maroon and White Daily. We appreciate you. We cannot do this without you. I will not have a job without you people. So appreciate y'all, and we'll catch you down the road.